Hey, welcome to the show. This is Man Coverage. I'm Derek Williams.
And I'm Danzel Moore.
I hope you guys had a great spring break. A lot has been happening over the sports world since the break. I think we have a lot to get into today, a whole lot. So we're going to start off with the NFL trades that happened over the break. The Browns were very active. The Rams were very active. What do you think? What happened?
Well, the Browns got Tyrod Taylor, and they signed him for $60 million, and not 60, I'm sorry, 16. And I think with them having a big quarterback, a big guy like Cam Newton, I think that they're going to be a pretty good team, a solid all-around team. They got another receiver, so now they're going to add on. So, I mean, this team coming up right here, this team is going to be great. I think because they got Josh Gordon. Yeah. Who's the other receiver that they just got?
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, so I mean, and he did not drop a pass. Right. If I'm not mistaken, he did not drop a pass last season.
He's good.
So I think they're gonna be a pretty good, solid team for the most part.
Hey, I mean, for I live like 45 minutes away from Cleveland, so I get a lot of Browns fans in that area. But there's a lot of excitement after the trades because, I mean, let's not disrespect Tyrod Taylor, who took the Bills to the playoffs for the first time since the 90s.
He did.
So he is a great pickup. He doesn't lose games for you.
Not at all.
He's an upgrade from Deshaun Kaiser. You got Jarvis Landry, who is a great possession receiver. He will move the chains for you. You have Josh Gordon, who's your big play guy. And that changes everything because I had the Browns going to draft a quarterback #1. Now they can get Saquon Barkley, who everyone believes is a generational talent. So you add Barkley, you got Gordon, you got Landry, you got Tyrod Taylor. That makes for a deadly offense, and then they can work on their defense. And later on in the draft, they have plenty of picks.
I mean, question that I have is, now, Saquon Barkley is up for grabs. Everybody knows that the Browns are going to get him, #1 pick. Now, with that pick that they have, do they save that and do they get another offensive lineman? Do they? I mean, they already have a pretty, strong offense. But
you got to protect Tyrod Taylor, but the thing is, when you have a mobile quarterback, it's not as necessary to draft offensive linemen as. Like, for example, if you have an Eli Manning as your quarterback who can't move, offensive lineman is that you need one. But with quarterbacks who can make plays with their feet, it's not as mandatory because they can make up for the lack of protection because they can run. Like Cam Newton doesn't have the best offensive line, but you see it with his legs. He can make up for that. So I don't think it's a need necessarily.
Does that shorten the life of the quarterback, though?
It can, but at the same time, why? What I don't like is when a quarterback has the ability to run and prospects say, oh, become a pocket quarterback. If you can run, that's a deadly asset to your game, so use it. I don't see people telling Steph Curry not to shoot threes. So if you're Tyrod Taylor, if you're Cam Newton, you run that. You run. You be that dual threat, that run pass option. Also, the Rams picked up Aqib Talib, and he paired him up with Marcus Peters, so that looks like
that's a good duo right there.
Great duo that the Rams aren't playing. Michael Bennett went to the Eagles. He got traded to the Eagles.
Richard Sherman went to the 49ers. Richard Sherman and the 49ers defense. Could you see that team winning a Super Bowl within the next 2 to 3 years?
It's way too early, but I think with Jimmy Garoppolo has never lost a game in the NFL. As a game that he started, he's never lost. And they got Sherman, so that means they're getting their defense right. And you just get some more pieces around Garoppolo. They might be they're going to make a strong push this year. It's way too early, but I can see him in Super Bowl as of next year. I think they're that good, and now you have Sherman who can lock down #1s. And even if you don't think Sherman is that good anymore, say, oh, well, he's 30, he has some injuries, he fell off a little bit. Okay, that's cool. He can still guard your #2 one-on-one, and you can double their #1 guy. So there's so many things that Sherman adds to that defense. And plus, he can lead the young guys. He's a veteran. He's smart. He came from Stanford. He watches film.
3.0 student.
Yeah, he's amazing. So he's going to help the young guys out. And I think the 49ers are going to – the whole NFC West is going to be something – you got Goff and McVay. You got Garoppolo and Shanahan. You still got Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. and you know Arizona's going to get them a young, nice quarterback. But
well, they do need a running back. They just
Yeah.
released Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Got released, and
Got released.
I seen that.
well,
and
Adrian
I-
Peterson, he kind of fell off anyway. So
Well, I mean, he's old now, but I
Yeah.
mean, he's still a great playmaker.
He-
I mean,
He-
if
he's good for a big run here and there, but as far as every down back, he's
is.
not the same. The running back draft class this year is very deep, so you can get someone in the second or third round. But but speaking of running backs, we had a question that you proposed to me over break, and you asked me who was more productive in college, Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey. Now, before we get into this, don't get me wrong. We all know that from a talent standpoint, Saquon Barkley is clearly better. But as far
Is
as
he?
productivity. So I mean, yes, Saquon Barkley is more athletic. He's more talented. But as far as productivity, who was better?
productivity, I would say probably I'm going to have to go with Barkley.
Why?
Barkley brought his team, and if you ask me, shout out Ohio State University. I think that Penn State, if we're just talking about best 4 teams in the playoff, 2016, Penn State, they won the conference championship, but they should have been in the college football playoff. I'm sorry. They lost to Ohio State this past season, which if you take away that loss, I think that they would have got in. I mean, you know, you can talk about, you know, the loss to Pitt. You can talk about different things like that. But I heard a wise man once say, write your future in pencil, not in pen. Now, when I say that, I mean, when you have teams who are playing at their best at the end of the year, that means at the beginning of the year, you have to beat whoever it is that is in front of you. You have to either win out at the end, or you got to play somebody big at the beginning so that it kind of evens out throughout the middle of the year when you're not really playing anybody. I mean, you know, like Alabama's playing, you know, teams like UNL Monroe. I mean, UL Monroe, they're not going to a playoff. They're not going to play for a conference championship. I don't see why you can't say that this young man right here isn't the best college football player, actually in one of the best college football players in history. If you ask me, Penn State, he took a Penn State team who literally just a couple years ago were absolutely trash. Nobody on their team. They didn't have, I mean, you know, McSorley, he's not really a quarterback that's going to be going in the top 10. But this man right here, Saquon Barkley, makes the team better. I mean, I don't understand why you couldn't take him as a number 1. If you don't take him as a number 1, the Cleveland Browns, you have done this man, you've done college football, you've done everybody else, you've done them a disservice.
Okay, I can definitely see that, and I'm not going to argue against Saquon Barkley. The man is a beast, but I mean, I see him as a Todd Gurley who can really do a lot for you. If the Browns get him, he's really gonna help that team. I guess my type of running back is the Shane Vereen's, the James Whites, the Danny Woodheads of the world, the guys like that who can run north and south, but they can also catch out the backfield, and they can also catch kick returns or punt returns. So when it comes to productivity, I believe McCaffrey is more productive because you can line him up in the slot as a receiver. He can catch out the backfield. You can put him at kick return. You can put him at punt return. You can put McCaffrey anywhere. And, like, you see how teams like I said, you got Shane Vereen for the Giants. You got James White for New England. You got the little type running backs who can do a whole lot that makes up for the dominant, you know what I mean, north and south power running. So I believe that McCaffrey is more productive, but don't get me wrong. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you have your quarterback, you got your receiving core, you go get you Saquon Barkley. That is, if the Browns botch this, they don't deserve a championship. Like
You're right. You're absolutely right.
You can't keep botching a draft. Like you passed on Deshaun Watson, you passed on Carson Wentz, and don't try to
They passed on Teddy Bridgewater too a couple years ago when they got Johnny Manziel, which I was on record and I said Teddy Bridgewater is going to be that quarterback to change the whole momentum of whatever team that he plays for.
Well,
look at the Vikings his rookie year that he came in. Look at what he did for them.
Didn't he go to the playoffs?
They went to the playoffs, and he got hurt. He got hurt, but it's better than RG3. I mean, yeah, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, but that's in college. That's not in the NFL. His success, most of their success happened while they were in college.
So you were a big Bridgewater fan?
I wasn't a very big fan, but I just knew when he came into the league, I seen the look in his eye, and I said, that young man right
He's
there
gonna
is
do
going
it.
to be able to change the whole course of an entire team.
Yeah, the Browns have botched draft after draft after draft after draft. They have the #1 pick, and they
10
can't,
years in a row.
They can't get this wrong. You got your quarterback. You got, you know what I mean? So you go ahead, you get you that generational talent that Saquon Barkley is. Did you see his combine?
Oh, that was
Lord,
amazing.
Lord,
I mean, the young man is running close to a 4.240.
man.
It's just like his first 2 steps is so powerful. It's like I was hearing the combine, I was hearing the commentators talking, and they were saying his first 4 steps when he's taking off in his 40 has enough power to generate an entire block for electricity. That is powerful. The only other man that I know that can do that is Ben Johnson, and he's a professional sprinter. So,
Yeah, he is fast, but it is March.
oh yes.
So you know what that means. But before we get into our March Madness brackets, because we did do them, you go ahead, you take it away with your man-to-man.
Well, my man-to-man, I have to say, a lot of the world is not going to agree with me, but some fans in the Big Ten might. We're going to talk about college football here for a second. Now, I know the biggest dynasty, one of the biggest dynasties in the history of college football is right now the Alabama Crimson Tide, as most people would agree. Right now, Alabama has not had the best recruiting class. They ranked at number 6, and Georgia was number 1, and the Ohio State was charted at number 2. So what I'm getting at is I think that the dynasty for Alabama is coming to an end. Georgia is now having the top recruiting class. They've had the top 5 for the past 3 years. So I think that this, like them playing for a national championship, we should get ready because we're going to start seeing that more and more and more often. Georgia has gotten rid of their quarterback. Their quarterback went to Washington. And I think that was a smart move for him, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it is SEC football, which, if you ask me, if you ask around, it's all the same wherever you go. But right now, the best conference right now is the Big Ten, and most people would argue that. But I'm just saying, Alabama, I think right now the dynasty is over. There's nothing else that you can look forward to. I mean, Nick Saban has gotten multiple national championship wins. If you ask me, some of them were a gimme. But when it comes to just playing Big Ten football, just right now, Big Ten football, how many teams won out of the Big Ten in their bowl games, right? 7, right? So if 7 of them went, shout out the team up north who lost they were the only team in the Big Ten that lost their bowl game. So right now, I think that Alabama doesn't have a chance of making it back to a playoff, if you ask me. Auburn is coming back. They're starting to change the course of the way that the rivalry goes. But if you ask me, in the Deep South right now, Georgia is going to be the team that we're going to look at for the next big dynasty. Them, or if you ask me, the Ohio State University. Stay tuned for that one.
Whoa. Well, as far as I'm concerned, as long as Nick Saban is coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide, they
I'm not going to say they're not going to be a great team.
Listen, they can be sorry, but the committee is going to give them love because
they're going to get 11 wins. They're going to get 11 wins.
Yeah, they're automatic.
But they're I don't know about automatic. Well, with the weak schedule they've played for the past 3 years, I'm pretty sure that they are going to get that.
I don't like the weak schedule argument. I don't like the weak conference argument.
Why not?
Why not? Sport, because, for example, when you say, oh, well, the East is weak in NBA, well, maybe just LeBron dominates it, you know what I mean? Or the AFC is weak. Listen. Just because you have a dominant team in your conference doesn't mean it makes it weak. That just means other teams need to catch up.
So for the past 3 years, you're saying that Alabama has deserved to play in those national championships.
They're Alabama.
They're Alabama. What does that mean?
When are they not
what
the
does
best?
That, what does that mean?
When are they not a top 5 team in the country?
When are they not? I'll tell you when they weren't.
When?
A couple years ago when they lost to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, that's when they weren't a top 5 team. And not only did they prove it, guess what happened the very next year?
When?
They were supposed to go, they were the big hot shot team. They were going to go to the national championship, right? It was the first year of the college football playoff. You want to know who tapped that candy behind? The Ohio State University. That's who did it, with an Ezekiel Elliott running back and a 3rd string Cardale Jones quarterback from Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, anyways, I guess. It's March, so we did brackets. You can go ahead and share yours first. Who do you got?
Well, I'm going to take the left side of the bracket first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I think Virginia is going to make it out to about the Sweet 16, but they will take a loss to the Kentucky Wildcats. After that happens, I see Kentucky going all the way to the Final Four, but to sadly come up short to Xavier University. Xavier's going to make it all the way out. I don't see them losing to anybody. The toughest team that I say that they should verse is probably OSU. If not OSU, then probably North Carolina.
Okay, well, for me, everyone, I mean, I'm not going to be boring with my bracket. Everyone has the number one team. Okay, let's be real here. Okay, so I got Virginia and Kentucky in the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. I got Miami, I got Cincinnati, I got Xavier and Ohio State, and I got Michigan playing North Carolina. I think Kentucky is going to play Cincinnati in the Elite Eight. Mm-hmm. I think Ohio State is going to play North Carolina and then in the Elite Eight. Mm-hmm. I think Kentucky and North Carolina are going to play in the Final Four, and I think North Carolina is going to win. And they're going to go
North Carolina over Kentucky.
Yes, they're going to go on that side. So on the right side of the bracket, I got Villanova in West Virginia. I got Villanova winning. I got Florida and Purdue. I got Purdue winning. I got Kansas and Auburn. I got Kansas winning. I got Michigan State.
Kansas and Auburn. Kansas and Auburn.
Yeah.
Not an upset this week. Not an upset coming up.
Well, listen. One thing about March Madness is that it's not really like a lot of these games come down to the wire, and a lot of upsets happen. You know what I mean? And that's every year. You know, you could go back to the regular season.
You're going to predict that.
Well, okay. Let me finish. And I got Michigan State versus Oklahoma. So I got Oklahoma beating Michigan State. And
and
I got them playing Kansas. Now here's the thing. Oklahoma received the news that they got in. They are number 10 seed. Now, I'm a big fan of big players and big games. I believe every game Oklahoma plays in the playoffs will be close. Remember when Carmelo Anthony carried Syracuse to a championship?
I remember.
Okay, so I don't want to hear the argument that one player cannot carry a team, especially in
Trae Young is not going to bring that team a national title.
Now, in my Elite Eight, I got Villanova playing Purdue, and I got Villanova winning, and I got Kansas playing Oklahoma, and I got Oklahoma upsetting Kansas, and I got Oklahoma playing Villanova in the Final Four, beating Villanova, and I got North Carolina versus Oklahoma in a championship, and Oklahoma wins it all.
I want to go back to that blasphemous statement that you just said.
They are my dark horse to win it all. Now, of course, North Carolina, I give them respect. They are a great basketball team, and they can easily go back-to-back, but I'm not going to be boring. I'm going to pick my dark horse, and that's Oklahoma.
But that's a complete waste of a bracket. I mean, you printed that off of the NCAA website for nothing.
I'm serious.
They're killing trees out here, now, and you want to just destroy a piece of paper that could be potentially glorious. But for Oklahoma over Michigan State,
yes.
Oh man, you are just there's
March
something
Madness is
like
full
I
of
said
upsets.
last week.
March Madness.
It is. That's why they call it March Madness.
Name one year.
Every year.
Okay, you look at the bracket. Obviously, you have your favorites. Name one year where the favorites just kept winning. No, it's always a team that come out of nowhere and like, whoa, did we expect Villanova to win a couple years ago? No.
Now, you're a man who likes facts, right?
Right.
So I'm going to bring you up something factual. Trae Young and Oklahoma have lost like 11 of their last 13 games, and their only 2 wins have come from at home, and they were close ones. They were nail biters.
Right.
So what I'm trying, and then earlier in the year, they lost 9 games in a row. And Mr. Trae Young, I mean, yeah, he still leads the entire NCAA in assists. He still leads in points. Probably going to end up winning MVP. But if you ask me, that team has not been consistent. And I was just arguing in the barbershop the other day. Shout out Dev, my barber. Shout out Parker, my other barber. But I don't understand how people could just sit here and think that Trae Young is going to bring this team to another national title, like to a national title, period. I mean, yeah, Oklahoma football, yeah, they did good, but that doesn't mean the basketball team is going to do great. Early in the year, yeah, if you ask me, I thought that they were going to end up winning a national title. But right now, this team is not producing. They're not producing the.
One thing I have been is consistent. And even when we talked about Cleveland and the Cavaliers, what did I say my concern was? I like big players in big games. That applies here. The best player in college basketball is Trae Young. I'm going to roll with Oklahoma. I'm sorry. You may not agree with me, but I like big players in big games. That's just me. You know what I mean? So, so we talked about the NFL trades. We talked about Barkley, and March Madness is coming up. So, and the draft is coming soon. And I did a mock draft of my own, and I want to go ahead and share that with you guys for my man-to-man. So, and especially after the trades happen, there's a whole bunch. I think that shook everything.
It's gonna change the entire course of the NFL.
I mean, because we thought. I mean, me personally, I thought Sam Darnold, I thought it was going to be the traditional. It's not even going to be that. This is what I think is going to be. Now that the Cleveland Browns have their quarterback, I got them taking Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
They can't mess that up. That's their number one pick.
It's probably a gimme.
Okay, number 2, the San Francisco 49ers just got Richard Sherman. I think they improve their defense, and they go get Denzel Ward from Ohio State.
Denzel Ward would be amazing for them.
To play with Richard Sherman, and that's
that team could.
Man,
Denzel Ward is a dog.
Garoppolo's going to make whoever he plays with better. They're going to get him weapons. You've seen it last year. He came in, won every single game. Didn't matter who the Goodwin's the only receiver on that team that I know. So I'm not really concerned about who Garoppolo has to throw to as of right now. But if you get that defense together, you add Denzel Ward with Richard Sherman, that could be deadly. I got Indianapolis taking.
I really want you to talk about that one. What's going on with Indianapolis? What do they have to do to win a championship?
Well, for Indianapolis, first things first, you get Andrew Luck healthy. That's first and foremost.
So you're still sticking with Andrew Luck as the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Andrew Luck as the starting quarterback. You get him healthy, and I say they take Arden Key, a defensive end. They're not going to be able to get Barkley because he's going to be taken. They don't need a quarterback, and they got T.Y. Hilton. They got weapons. I just think they need to build the defense up. So if you can give Andrew Luck more possessions, like I said, he's one of those quarterbacks where it doesn't matter who he's throwing to, he's going to get the job done. So you build that defense.
Now, what about Malik Hooker from Ohio State? He played and he got injured midseason.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about him?
You can't go wrong with him either. You could take, it's potato, you know what I mean? You could take it. He's a great player. I got the New York Giants taking Josh Rosen. Now, that's an interesting one.
Wow.
Well, Eli Manning got benched this year, this past year. Eli, his time is up. I really don't see Eli being a good quarterback again. He's old. You know,
there's not a ring coming in New York.
No time soon. And Odell Beckham is in his prime. He's about to start his prime.
Can he stay out of trouble?
We can get to that. But Odell Beckham is there. You need to get you a quarterback now. And I think Josh Rosen, big arm. You see he was throwing 70-yard bombs in the combine. I think he would be perfect for the New York media. He has an opinion. I like Josh Rosen in New York. Then the Jets, I think they take Sam Darnold. The Jets take Sam Darnold.
I could see Sam Darnold.
If they don't get Kirk Cousins in free agency, they would get Sam Darnold.
Now that would be great for New York. I mean, I'm talking like a championship in football since the last time they beat the Patriots.
Here's the thing. With the thing with Kirk Cousins, there's so many great rich quarterbacks in the draft this year. Is that Kirk Cousins? Because think about it. There's a plethora of teams that would love to have a quarterback like him, but there's so many quarterbacks in the draft that you can get that's why he's going to take a back seat to some of these young guys. But I got the New York Giants. If they don't get Cousins, they're going to take Sam Darnold. Now, go ahead.
Two questions. I have two questions.
Go ahead.
Where do you see Lamar Jackson?
Oh, we'll get there. We're getting
and Baker Mayfield landing.
Well,
I really want to know about that.
That brings me to the Denver Broncos. John Elway, big personality. They pull the trigger. They take Baker Mayfield.
Wow. Baker Mayfield.
For the Denver Broncos. Yes, you heard it. I think his personality meshes well with John Elway's. I think Baker Mayfield, he's accurate, especially in the middle of the field.
Can he play with Emmanuel Sanders?
Oh, Baker Mayfield can. I would say if you draft Baker Mayfield, you get some tight ends, you get some slot receivers because he's really good in the middle of the field. But I think that fits perfectly for the Denver Broncos.
You've seen the combine, as did I. You know Baker Mayfield is the most accurate quarterback in there. So
I would totally agree with that.
Now, would you say that he is the best quarterback coming out, or would you go along with America and say Rosen?
Well, after I finish this mock draft, I think we could talk about the best quarterback in this draft, because that's a good one. I got the Chicago Bears. They have their quarterback in Trubisky. They got Jordan Howard, great running back. I like where they're going. They're going to take Bradley Chubb.
Chubb is pretty good.
What do you think about that?
I think that'll be a good fit.
That'd be a good.
Chicago has been a team that has been. They control their own destiny. They've been a team where it's like they can take whatever it is that they're doing in the season. They can either throw it all in the trash, or they could put it all together and they could end up potentially being a playoff team.
I mean, they were in the NFC Championship a few years ago. So, I mean, Chicago's not far off. They got their quarterback. I think they get them a good pass rusher, Bradley Chubb. And so now this is where it gets interesting. Miami just let go of Jarvis Landry.
Yes.
So that means they're in need of a receiver. And the best receiver in this draft is Calvin Ridley from Alabama. And he reminds me a lot of Julio Jones coming out of college. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Julio. I'm not saying he's going to be Julio, but coming out, he's big, he's athletic, he has a great catch radius, he's fast, and I think he fits Miami. He replaces Jarvis Landry. I think that's a great fit. Great fit.
Where do you see, you remember the guy, number 13, he caught the game-winning touchdown against Alabama, played for Clemson, Hunter Renfrow. What do you think about him? Do you believe in, taking a shot in the dark, taking that guy?
He's not going to go first round, but I believe he will get drafted, because you just can't ignore players who make big plays in big time, especially if you didn't expect it to happen.
He was a walk-on. He was a walk-on and made the game-winning touchdown. He scored all 3 of the receiving touchdowns for Clemson in that game.
I think he's going to get taken second, third round, but I don't see a first round. But so next, Arizona. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Arizona is the only team in the NFC West that doesn't have a quarterback, because Carson Palmer retired and Bruce Arians just retired. So I think they pull the trigger and they draft Lamar Jackson. I think that's the direction they go. I honestly feel that way. Now, they can be safe and they can take the Josh Allen. Okay, I can see that too. But I think Arizona, you put Lamar Jackson and you put him with David Johnson, and you still got Larry Fitzgerald, so you have veteran leaders to help him. I think that's a great fit. I think that's a great fit for Lamar Jackson.
Do you question Lamar Jackson's size?
No, not at all. You look at Drew Brees, who's like 5'9". You look at Russell. I don't think size in 2018 is even a factor. Oh, he's too little.
Because of the way that the offense are ran.
And there's so many guys who've paved the way to show that size doesn't mean anything. It's about the heart. It's about your desire to win. I don't care if you're a midget. If you have the desire to win, you go out there and you do your things. I mean, size is for the combine. Oh, he's too small. Those are the guys who nitpick. If my quarterback is 5'9" and he can run, he has an arm, he's a dual threat, he's a leader, he can win, I want him on my team. I'm not going to let size determine that. And last but not least, I got Tampa Bay taking Nick Chubb and the running back for Georgia. And the reason I say that is because Doug Martin, the Oakland Raiders are pursuing to get him in free agency, so they're going to need a running back. And I think if you put Jameis Winston with Mike Evans, who just re-signed,
$55 million for Mike Evans.
Second most paid
$55 million.
Yeah, and then so you put Nick Chubb in that offense to help Jameis out, take some of the pressure off him. I like that direction right there. And so you asked me, who do you think the best quarterback in the draft is? And the most accurate is Baker Mayfield. I think the most likely to be successful is Sam Darnold. But as far as best overall quarterback, I think Josh Rosen, in my opinion. He has the strongest arm. He has leadership ability. He can win. I think you put him in the right system. He's great. He's a great arm talent. He can throw in between the numbers, outside the numbers. You know what I mean? Like, one thing that worries me about Baker Mayfield is he's deadly accurate inside the numbers, but I don't know how accurate he can be throwing a outside, you know what I mean, tight window, back shoulder throw, you know what I mean? So, but I think Josh Rosen overall is the best quarterback in this draft. What do you think?
I like winners. And Baker Mayfield reminds me a lot of Tim Tebow. I don't agree with America saying he's going to be the next Johnny Manziel.
I don't.
But he reminds me a lot of Tim Tebow, a little bit of Cam Newton, but with the heart of Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's a winner. When he was in college, he was a dead-on winner. I'm saying when it comes to just Baker Mayfield throwing the ball, getting the job done with his feet, you've seen what he can do. The man won a Heisman Trophy. And this coming up season.
He's a walk-on.
Yeah.
For 2 schools.
Yeah. So I'm saying this next team that's going to get Baker Mayfield, please sit back and enjoy.
Denver Broncos.
This man Baker Mayfield is a dog. And there's only one thing I can do for the team that gets him.
Hey, if I'm the Denver Broncos, I'm looking at Baker Mayfield like, this dude can take me to the playoffs now. They already got a defense.
Yeah, right now.
They got receivers. You know, I'll get them right now.
So we're going to wrap up the show here in a second, but I have a question for you that regarding to Rosen. Now, can Rosen take a team within the next 5 years? Could he take his team to an NFC championship or an AFC championship?
Oh, yeah. I believe if the New York Giants get Josh Rosen, and I don't think they're gonna cut Eli Manning now. He's probably going to sit here. They're going to do what they did with Alex Smith and Mahomes. So they're going to draft Josh Rosen. He's going to sit behind Eli now. Eli, as far as a quarterback, he's done, but he can still give advice, leadership. You know, you can watch. I mean, he won 2 Super Bowls for crying out loud. So
his last name is Manning.
Yeah, and
he's a great coach.
And his last name is Manning. So you take Josh Rosen, you let him sit for a year, you let him get acquainted with the franchise, and then you part ways with Eli. And then in the 2019 season, you got Josh Rosen as your starting quarterback. I like their chances, especially with Odell Beckham. They're going to tie him up. You just keep building around that team, and I think they'll be a good team. And let's be honest, if I was the Giants, I would cut Eli now. I would trade him. I would do something. He's gone. I want Josh Rosen starting in the 2018 season, but they love them some Eli Manning. He's a Manning, so he's going to get his chance. So I'll let him sit for a year, and we'll see where that goes. I had Baker Mayfield going to the Giants, but I don't think the Giants are going to take Mayfield, especially. Imagine Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham in New York. Yeah, so.
Doesn't sound right, but if it gets the job done, it gets the job done.
But it's a lot going on in sports right now. Great to be a sports fan. The draft coming up, March Madness, basketball. You know, the Cavs lost to the Lakers. Isaiah Thomas, 20 points against his former team. And it's kind of funny how it's all coming together. I told you the Cavs don't got the star power, and you're seeing it now. And you can't beat the –
A lot can happen in a week.
A lot can happen in a week. Like I said, they're not coming out the East. They are not coming out the East. But we'll save that for next time. We will talk about the Cavs, and we have a lot for you guys. I hope you guys had a great spring break. We will see you guys next week. You have anything else?
Nothing else to say, but I'll leave it at that.
All right. See you guys later.
Next week.
Bye.